My name is Coop, and I am putting together a Legacy PS4 local co-op series. This is part 1. Legacy local co-op PS4. What on earth do you mean by that? These are games that remain on their 8th generation system, HD drive, the black PS4 symbol only. We're going to start with a game called Badland from 2015, not to be confused with the new Predator film. A lot of these choices rest on the game being best in its class, and Badland is technically a Flappy Bird clone. It is a one-button input and you're using a single stick, if that. It's an extremely simple game to get your head round. This makes it very, very family friendly. It is also 4-player, very easy integration on all the pads. It does incredibly well on adding things to the formula to spice up that game model. You can have multiple versions of yourself bouncing around inside this level. You also expand and retract in size, helping you solve some of these problems. But the big seller, and what has always attracted me back to this video game, is the amount of variables, single player content, and here's the hook. It's got absolutely amazing PvP, so player versus player. This whole puzzle solving turns into a race, or you can start selecting arenas that are focused on just beating who you're playing with. When you've got 4 people all going after the same goal or trying to screw each other over, you've got yourself a very fun, energetic, visually pleasing and extremely accessible party local co-op game. One thing I do want to stipulate is that all of these games are actually running on a PlayStation 5 despite not being on the SSD. None of them have any problems at all other than Badlands having some sort of restart error. But if you're playing this on the 4, there are no problems. I figured I should add a kart racer to this list. Crash Team Racer. Never got the PlayStation 5 treatment. Technically, doesn't really need it. This game runs incredibly well for a split screen racer, and we have that vertical split. You might like Sonic Team Racers, but I much prefer this for the reasons that are coming up. One of the stronger aspects of this particular game is huge wealth of track. Being able to set up a tournament or races in succession on that local co-op, so it's not just about that single race. And of course, it pushes in a full AI roster. If you follow my regular content, you'll know that Sonic Cross Worlds was a huge release for last year, but that is a 9th gen kart racer. Available on the PlayStation 4 also. I will link the full video in the description. We do have a 4-player split screen option available here, so fantastic news on that front. Same goes for the different kart types and racers. There's just a huge wealth of choice here. Massive amounts of content. The cosmetic variables on the karts is absolutely crazy, including variants on performance and combinations of character that you choose. It still looks and runs really well for a game of its age. The track designs are some of the more attractive in the whole kart racing series, full stop. The love behind the design of this game, the character animations, voiceovers, everything, even the UI, the single player, there is a lot in here for a kart racer of this ancient status, brackets 2019. So it's not that old. If you can notice our position in the race, we rarely get above 7th or 8th place. The AI is ridiculously good, and the boost/NOS mechanic is one of the more complicated of any kart racer. It's a 3-pump system. You really have to knuckle down and concentrate and learn the courses. They're not cornered off. You can go flying off the track at any given time. You've also got these crazy randomizers in it. You'll hit a windmill sail, no fault of your own. It's genius design and still gets played 7 years after its release.
They like to roll the
Studio MDHR has not given us a damn thing since 2017. I'm excluding the DLC in that comment. Not only did they give us one of the best single-player side-scrolling indie games on the market, they also boosted it with local co-op. You are probably well familiar with this game. I'm so familiar with this starting stage and introducing people to it that I can almost do it with my eyes shut. I'm joking, I die constantly, even on stage 1.1. Difficulty is a key element to this structure. One of the genius design aspects is the bring back mechanic or revive. Basically, you have to slap a ghost. So if your teammate gets killed, they start drifting off to top of screen and it's your job to hit them to get them back into the game. Combined with the game's relentless difficulty, this breeds loads of communication and panic. I've never played anything that makes people shout out loud as much as Cuphead. It is also a bit of a boss run game, meaning that you just tackle massive arena-like foes. You do have a little bit of platforming to do and running and gunning in early stages, and the game also flips and turns into a 2D shoot 'em up in sections, completely refreshing that model, but still adding that revive mechanic. I don't think this game could work in 4-player because of how hectic it is and how much you need to be keeping an eye on everyone. You might also get a bit confused on which one you are, but that whole blue and red color scheme, you are very focused, not only on yourself and dodging all the projectiles, but also if your teammate needs the old slap, both in real life and in the game. They're not even rumoured to be working on a sequel, and next year will mark 10 years. That's a big mountain of cash to be sitting on for that length of time, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of us who would immediately snap up Cuphead 2. I think I know what they're doing. They're trying to work out how they can make it into a daily service game and add loot boxes and an always online hub. Let's see if we get some announcements on more from the brothers, and Cuphead is still an absolute mammoth on that PS4 local co-op scene. And despite my disgruntled stance on that sequel, they did give us the delicious Last Course, which is a great piece of DLC. There's a third character, female, and loads of new bosses and levels. Full review in description. I am actually quite surprised that Streets of Rage 4 didn't get a PlayStation 5 release, coming off the back of Marvel Cosmic Invasion and of course the delectable Absalom. If you know, you know. This publisher has now become synonymous with amazing local co-op video games. That friendly fire had a little bit of a learning curve on it. What I'm talking about is your kick can stagger the other player, so it's all about staying in your lane. That does bring the attention away from button bashing because you've got to think about your inputs, and of course you've got a Bloodborne style special on energy depletion and winning it back with that triangle move. The gap between Streets of Rage 3 and Streets of Rage 4 is about 150 years and 18 different consoles, so the guys did really well to keep some of those pillars in place but inject this with some amazing modern aspects, ease of life, and super smooth and good looking graphics. Back to that PS5 point, there is no reason for this to go on the SSD. Runs impeccably on that HD, to be fair. Other great games in this genre that could have got a mention: Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, very strong. River City Girls, and that's been sequeled, so that's probably due on the channel. But as said 1,000 times before, Shredder's Revenge, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, and Absalom are kind of all you need on the local co-op beat 'em up front. Streets of Rage 4 is also 3-player, which is a big added bonus. It also has a character unlock system, so there is a lot to be done on that single player front. They so nailed it with this sequel. It was a really hard thing to do, and everybody I've spoken to about this game is entirely happy with it. Streets of Rage 4.
saved.
So where do I start with talking about one of the greatest local co-op twin sticks ever made, Nex Machina. It's from the legendary Housemarque. You know of their heritage. Of course, they came out with Returnal, and we've got Saros just round the corner. These guys went from making AA games to being Sony's flagship developer. I think the same could potentially be said for Arrowhead, and that's why I've had to make this into a series, because there's a lot more games to come.
Superhuman saved.
One of the first things I noticed going back to it, other than these amazing visuals and neon colours, was the camera and how excellently it handles being run off screen. Basically, it pans in and out perfectly. You never feel like you're cornered, and it handles that two-player local co-op brilliantly. You can also have like a run system where you go from the first stage right through, see how far you can get, limited continues, and if one of you dies, it's up to the other player to finish that stage to respawn them back in, which adds some very cool urgency. You're shouting at your mate not to die before the end of that stage, thus increasing the pressure for all parties involved.
Human lost. Human lost.
You are rescuing humans, there is that Resogun vibe with it, but it's just so fast, the power-ups are so outlandish, and you can build up your moves by just collecting and not dying and becoming more formidable the longer you play it. You've also got a dash and avoid button, which becomes second nature, and just flowing with the game once you get your head around everything. It's a great feeling of accomplishment, particularly if there are two of you.
Shield lost. Multiplier up. Weapon range.
This full-on competes with 9th generation twin-stick games like the Ascent. It hasn't lost a single bit of shine in all of those years. And yes, it will be 10 years next year.
Weapon range.
Just before we move forward, if you are new to me, you need to click that subscribe button. YouTube does not push my content. GamerRanks got that slot. If you want to see the next in this series, you need to subscribe and click notifications. I'm honestly not joking with that. Every time I test my videos on my TV via the YouTube app, as soon as I've turned my back and the video is ended, GamerRanks get their newest, blandest video to play almost immediately. It happens every single time. Wipeout Amiga Collection gets it right every single time as well, however. So just riddle me this, guys. Help me with this one. The PlayStation 4 Pro came out in 2016. I know that blew my mind as well. This was pushed as a flagship enhanced game, and it ran it at 60 frames per second and 4K. Try and do that with a game like this on PC, and it will cost you about £2,000. It is unreal on its performance front. This is nothing short of developer black magic, I swear it. Older grandpa-like gamers like myself will remember the first early Wipeouts and how much of a Sony-centric IP it was. It was phenomenal. It kind of put gaming being cool again back on the map. Because of its music, because of its futuristic visuals, it had this unbridled freshness about it. And I think a lot of people who wouldn't normally indulge in that area totally got on board with Wipeout 1 and all of its extremely strong sequels. And that brings me on to what Amiga Collection essentially is. It's a greatest hits. You've got 3 full-blown games in here spanning the latter part of the series. I have harped on about this before, but it comes with a free PSVR 1 version. If there's one game you try in that headset, let it be Wipeout, the Amiga Collection, my god. And then for them to bowl in a flawless split-screen version with a vertical split option and full AI was a gift from heaven. That campaign is absolutely amazing, and unlocking all of the vehicles is loads of fun, and they can be enjoyed with the second player from your roster. Wipeout 2048 was also on the PS Vita and looked so amazing. You could play at local area network with someone else with a Vita near you. I think gaming could have peaked back then. We need to bring some of this wholesome, awesome, brilliant creative ideas and visionaries back into the industry. And we all agree on that, please. Wipeout's controls, if you haven't played it, are extremely unique. It has two brake buttons, L2 and R2, and they correspond with your cornering direction, so you can slingshot round the course if you get good with operating those two autonomous brakes. It's actually not as complicated as it sounds, and its weaponry, its missiles, its sound effects are some of the best in the entire split-screen racing genre. And talking about sitting on a huge pile of cash, I'm pretty sure that IP is still under Sony's ownership. A 9th generation Wipeout game would sell like hotcakes. Can I get some comments on that, please? Yes, it is time for Huntdown, developed by Easy Trigger, published by Coffee Stain, who also have great local co-op credentials. So the story behind this is that I recently reviewed Blood Dragon Far Cry 3, and if you know the game, it's a huge 80s action homage. It's all about one-liners, you've got Hicks from Aliens doing the voice. It's an incredible experience, especially now in 2026. And I was saying to my audience, do you know of any other 80s awesome games out there that obey this rule, because I'd love to look at them. Of course, loads of people said Huntdown, and I was like, I know all about that. It's local co-op's amazing, it's been on the channel loads, and I go to look for it, and I can't find it anywhere. I thought I did a standalone review of it when it first came out. No, I think it's on one of my 5 more videos. But now is its proper time to shine. It does feel a little bit like a Contra game, but with a lot more cover, and you can duck into doorways, and you can also not change that firing arc, so it runs parallel with the ground. This kind of puts emphasis on your position, so it's all about hopping and jumping around on platforms, getting to areas, getting vantage points, throwing grenades, dealing with your special abilities on triangle, and picking up drops, and just genuinely meeting this chaos head on. And there is so much chaos. The Ice Skater gang hit that grenade back towards us. I love that Warriors theme with the gang outfits, and it almost feels a little bit like Target Renegade with the level layout and the bosses getting accolades. There are these secret briefcases to find, and you also have a slide which has got an immunity window on it, which you can also do in the air. Thankfully, not a single bit of friendly fire, otherwise these clips would have lasted a couple of seconds. The bosses have way too much character for a game of this caliber. They just keep on giving. They normally have multiple phases, both with their attire and their attack patterns. It's an absolutely flawless campaign experience, and these aesthetics, all that art, music, some of the quotes, the weapon types, and outlandish things that happen within level are really unmatched within this genre, which is essentially a side-scrolling cyberpunk game. Please remember what I said about the subscription thing. YouTube's landscape has vastly changed over these last 5 years, and smaller content creators are finding it very difficult to crack through the evil algorithm rules that all of the bigger name creators seem to have managed. Part 2 of this video is just around the corner. I think I'll go for 3 parts in total. My name was, of course, Coop, and I look forward to seeing you down there. What was that?